So hello and welcome to today's video, where today I'm doing something a bit different for a change, since I recently asked on Twitter and tried to incorporate all of the options into a single video. So what comes to your mind when you think of Rockstar Games? Grand Theft Auto? Red Dead? Or if you frequently watch my channel, it's probably Bully. But what if I said Austin Powers? Now, if you're not into movies much, let me briefly cover. Now, Austin Powers was a trilogy of spy comedy films released in the late 1990s and early 2000s, essentially being spoofs of the ever so popular James Bond series of films. They relied more on adult jokes with a somewhat 1960s British spin, bad teeth included. I mean, one of the film's plots is Austin losing his mojo, leaving him shagless, so that should give you enough info as to how serious the films took themselves. The cast consisted of Mike Myers as Austin Powers, Beyonce as Foxy Cleopatra, Mike Myers as Dr. Evil, the late Vern Troyer as Mini-Me, Mike Myers as Fat Bastard, and Elizabeth Hurley as Vanessa Kensington, and Mike Myers as Goldmember, and so on. Now, these films were sensations back then, being blockbuster hits, with the entire trilogy amassing well over $676 million from box office revenue alone. And of course, like with anything incredibly popular, comes the inevitable milking of it. But thankfully this was the early 2000s, so we didn't have Austin Powers merch desecrating every single store like certain franchises today do. No, instead what we got were a few video games, and two of them were produced by none other than Rockstar Games. Now, on paper this sounds like a perfect match. We can throw down some linear levels like Manhunt or Max Payne, with the childish or adult humour of GTA or Bully, slap on some Austin Powers branding with that traditional Rockstar storytelling, and it could be a match made in heaven, right? Well, no, it really couldn't be any further from that if it tried. Now, both of these games were released at the exact same time. One was called Austin Powers Oh Behave, and the other one was called Austin Powers Welcome to My Underground Lair, both for the Game Boy Color in September 2000 for America and November for Europe. Now, these two are the exact same games, just one has an Austin Powers theme and the other one is themed after Dr. Evil. Now, these weren't movie tie-ins like you'd assume, as they were released between The Spy Who Shagged Me, which came out in 1999, and Goldmember, which would come out in 2002. So let's quit stalling and have a look at this. So upon booting the game, we get some weird 30-second MS-DOS prologue kind of thing. Then we boot into this Windows 2000 parody called Dr. Evil 2000. Now, so far this seems to fit in with Rockstar style. We've seen them parody Windows Vista and macOS in GTA 5, and now we have an intro scene with the great Dr. Evil himself, and we have to set up our profile to become his henchman. Which seems to imply we've got a story coming from the perspective of us, something like GTA Online I'd assume. And we get asked some other questions such as our preferred pet, where I chose Mini-Me, and my interests include world domination. And so, as Gary Smith said in Final Showdown, let the game begin. What? So, we're thrown into this weird computer thing. Okay, this is not too bad. This is Game Boy Color we're dealing with here. This could be our level select. So, let's check the first folder, which is titled Games. Oh no. Turns out it was wrong. We don't get a story or anything really. The first game is rock, paper, scissors, and we get to choose our opponent. We have a few people from the Austin Powers cast, so let's just choose Austin. And this was a mistake. I don't even know how to actually describe this, because no matter what I do, I can never win at this. I'm either too early or too late. I choose my hand and still lose every single time. I'm not stupid. I do know how to play rock, paper, scissors. Sod it. Anyway, let's try it the second one. Hopefully it's going to be better than this. The second game we've got is called Domination. Now, this one I have high hopes for because it's my favourite game mode in Call of Duty. However, it's not like the game mode in Call of Duty, because I have no bloody idea what the hell we're supposed to be doing. We just place our checkers and turn Austin's colours into our own. Now, one minor nitpick I have here is we do have the sprites of Austin Powers and Dr. Evil down here, and every turn they say the exact same thing. Dr. Evil says I'm hip, and Austin Powers says smashing. They very, very rarely say anything else. Seriously, during my time playing this game, I only saw one different set of quotes, then it went back to I'm hip and smashing. There's a lot of memorable quotes from the Austin Powers films, and Rockstar couldn't be asked to code in any more than this. Imagine if Red Dead Redemption 2 had this level of attention to detail in it. Anyway, third time lucky, our next game is called Mojo Maze, and it's nothing more than a Pac-Man ripoff. Seriously, in this minigame we take control of Dr. Evil, who looks more like Stewie Griffin, and we collect these weird pellets while avoiding aliens? The films didn't even have aliens in them, did they? And when you collect Mojo, you can defeat the aliens just like you can in Pac-Man after eating a big pellet. I guess this is proof that Rockstar themselves aren't exactly clean from plagiarism. Now once you've eaten all of the pellets in a single area, you get a key and you can choose where you want to go. Here I went north and had to escape fire, and then I gave up because I don't care. So far this has been the best mini game, I guess you can call it, that this so-called game has to offer, and it's still crap. Also, this has got absolutely nothing to do with the films at all. Also, what was the point of that really long ass intro at the beginning? The way it was set up heavily implied this was going to be like some story based game where we take the role of either Austin Powers or Dr. Evil's apprentice to try and thwart the other one. The questions we were asked at the beginning are somehow even more useless than the money is in GTA 4. Now we do actually have another game, and it's called, I can't be asked to even name this one, it's just a platformer. Now, I think platformers are a good genre of games. I've enjoyed plenty of 2D platformers before, but this is not one of them. Seriously, once we start, I don't even know where to start with this. When did Austin Powers' enemies consist of bouncing traffic cones, policemen's hats or footballs? Now the hitboxes in this are abysmal too, you cannot jump over any of these. Now that's just terrible because you can't just skip out on a vital part of a 2D platformer. Because of that, it makes this game incredibly difficult, and I hate it. This was made by the same people behind GTA San Andreas, Bully, Red Dead, GTA 4, whatever. Looking at this, you'd think it's some abysmal Chinese bootleg Austin Powers game cashing in on the craze. But it's not, and we're still not even done yet. Okay, so this is a bit of a post edit, but while actually making this video, I was looking at the rockstargames.com/games list, and the Austin Powers games are absolutely nowhere to be mentioned on here. Even Rockstar themselves are ashamed of that crap. Even the cancelled agent is here, but their own officially released game isn't. That's how you know it's a fucking terrible, terrible game. So back to the main menu thing, and the second folder we're going to take a look at is called Programs. And yeah, we start off with a typewriter for some reason. This is just a notepad. Like, what use does this actually have? I can only think of one use for this, and that's being on a car ride, using it to note down something if you need to visit the shop. But why the hell would you be playing this? Also, I'm playing this on an emulator, so I have even less use for this. Next up is the internet. Well, no, not really the internet. This is just an in-game advertisement for the previous two Austin Powers movies, which do give you a synopsis for both films. Now, while I can get this and think it's a good addition, it seems pointless since this entire game is aimed at Austin Powers fans, who at this point probably have already seen both of the movies. So I don't get it. Like, why is this here? Now, next up is something called the Friculator. This is just a calculator. Why do we... Nobody in history has ever played a game and said, you know what, this game is missing? A calculator. I guess you can use this as an excuse to bring in your Game Boy to school or something, so you can tell the teacher you have a calculator. And then when they're not looking, swap it out for Wario Land or something. So while I was messing around, I did find a movie clip, and honestly I have no idea what it's supposed to be at first. Like, the first few seconds I thought I was watching one of those deep fried meme videos, but after a while I could sort of tell what it was, and it seems to be a mini mashup of clips from the film that you can barely make out, which do have random audio parts slapped over the different clips. Like, honestly, I mean it, this makes deep fried memes look like 4K HDR quality.
A legend in his own time. Oh, behave!
Also, I found there are actual sound clips in there with loads of iconic quotes from the film. So why isn't this used in any of the minigames? They're already here, so why do they go mostly unused? This is wank. Honestly, this is just the most confusing, boring game I've ever played upon, and I still cannot believe this was made by the Rockstar Games. Let's just really be grateful that Rockstar's next attempt at a franchise adaptation, which was The Warriors, turned out to be pretty great overall and remained pretty faithful to its source material. I know I keep saying it, but this game, very loosely I can call it a game I guess, but it has absolutely nothing to do with the film series outside of the sprites. But even then, most of these sprites don't have actually anything to do with the film. But even then, most of these sprites don't actually have anything to do with the film themselves, like aliens, bouncing policemen's hats. At what point, I mean, I've seen the Austin Powers trilogy. I don't recall Austin Powers ever having to fight footballs, traffic cones and aliens, and I seriously cannot recommend this game at all. I can't even recommend it if you're an Austin Powers or Rockstar Games fanatic. It's definitely not very shagadelic. only possible way I can recommend this is if you're a game collector and you need to complete your Game Boy Color collection. That's the only reason I can even slightly recommend this game. Otherwise, do not play it. Do not even think of playing it. It is crap. So, that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed, and yeah, if you want to see more of this very occasional non-bully type video, then let me know. But yeah, this is just the worst Rockstar game ever. And yeah, I don't really know what to say, but thank you for watching if you did, and have a great day, I guess. So, bye.